We're waiting on a moderator, so we came out to vamp a little bit. Thank you.
How about this font?
It's a good font.
We really like the name font is great.
I don't have a name plate. And my mic is on.
This afternoon is
Seriously.
Does anybody else see that guy at the end of the table, or is he just like...
I'm not even here.
No, I just hear a voice. I suppose we should kick things off by introducing ourselves and saying who we are and why we're all here. Oh, with me. My name's Jesse Nocalia. I'm the voice of Soren on The Dragon Prince. Thank you.
We got a Soren stand in the house. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm not introducing all of you.
No, on yourself.
Oh,
No, that's funny. That's
okay. I've done a number of other things. I have some fun stuff I can talk about literally tomorrow that I can't talk about yet. Good point. Thank you. And you know, I'm here to have a good time. I like walking on the beach.
Okay.
Okay, sorry that I gave him more time.
Thank you.
Oh,
Save me.
My name's Adrian Petru.
Hi, Adrian.
Hi. I'm the voice of Gren on The Dragon Prince, Adam in The Hollow, and Tony Stark in Iron Man Armored Adventures, going way back, and a bunch of other fun things. And I too enjoy the beach. And we'll go over to my good friend Jason.
Thank you.
Jason Petru. Jason Petru. Jason Simpson with the news.
Hey, I'm Jason Simpson. I play Viren in The Dragon Prince. Do a lot of video games, animation, whole bunch of voice work. So it's all exciting. You can come talk to me later about it. I do not like walks on the beach.
Uh-oh.
You know what? Walking on the beach is fine. It's a little uneven, so I prefer the sidewalk. Laying on the beach with that wind, just a beard full of sand. But there's a great barbecue place. Which direction is the beach? Whichever direction the beach is, there's a great barbecue place out there. It was amazing, so I encourage you to check it out. Next!
My name's Jack DeSena. I was the voice of Callum on The Dragon Prince. I was previously... Oh yeah! Great bang of applause. I was Sokka on Avatar The Last Airbender, and other things. And I walked on the beach as recently as 20 minutes ago, so it's nice.
We all like beaches except Jason.
Yeah. I am Will Friedle, and I was actually just given my little name tag.
It's proof. There's proof.
Voice-wise, I was Terry McGinnis on Batman Beyond. Thank you. I was Ron Stoppable on Kim Possible, and Bumblebee on Transformers, and Star-Lord on Guardians of the Galaxy, and a lot of very fun stuff. I liked the beach until I came here and saw how in shape everyone was. So I still like the beach, but I like myself less. Yeah. What are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. Well, I think we're all here to learn from you, okay?
Yeah, right. Oh, then we are in for a long panel.
Oh boy.
We are. Does anybody have any questions right off the bat?
let's
There's a mic over here.
Yeah.
You can ask questions.
I think we have time for every single one of you to ask at least 10 questions.
So they don't have to be about any of our work. You
No.
can also trivia.
Yeah.
If someone wants to, we can solve a riddle in real time.
question.
That's true.
Do it.
Automotive
Yes.
upholstery.
Yes.
Okay.
Question!
Hi, I'm Denise.
Hi, Janice.
Hello.
Hi. My question is for real, actually.
Yes.
The Phoenix call, how did you come up with it?
The Feeny Call. I was on Boy Meets World as well. The Feeny Call just kind of started as it just said Eric stands in front of a fence and says Mr. Feeney, and I don't like to not be on camera, so I tried to extend it for as long as I possibly could, and it just got longer and longer, and then it became a bet among the cast to see kind of how long I could make it, which is not a smart thing to bet me. And it just kind of grew from there. So it started with just Mr. Feeney and kind of grew. Thank you.
Hi, this is a question for Jack. And huge fan of your work on Avatar, by the way. But
Excellent.
what was it? But like, so the Dragon Prince had a lot of like common people working behind the scenes
Yeah.
with Avatar. So what was it like working with them again after all those years?
Phenomenal. It was awesome. Aaron Ehas, who was the head writer of Avatar, and Giancarlo Volpe, who was one of the directors on Avatar, created this, along with Justin Richmond, some other folks, created Dragon Prince. So I got brought on like through a Comic-Con panel in San Diego. Aaron and Giancarlo like pulled me aside after an Avatar fan panel and were like, we have a new thing and we want to show you and we think it's really cool. I think it'll be involved. In very hushed tones. And then pitched out all of Dragon Prince, and I mean, it was fantastic. The thing that I knew I was gonna get by like signing on to a show with Aaron and Giancarlo was a big playable arc. Like I knew like it's a young character. I knew I was gonna get to explore some stuff and see him grow up and really like play with some real depth. And that has happened big time. That's like a big staple of his writing and really comes through in Dragon Prince. So it's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So by doing panels, we might get work.
Yeah. Let's promise to each pull each other aside after this panel with at least one job offer.
I have really good news for you, Jack, because I do have a project for you.
Please, thank you.
I'm renovating my den.
Okay, I'll take it. Yeah, I am also available on TaskRabbit, so.
You can find me on Uber.
Hey, hi. I have sort of a. You might not be able to answer this because you are the actors on the Dragon Prince. You're not any of the screenwriters, but a lore question seems to be that the use of black magic by humans. It seems like it is sort of involves cheats, but at the same time, for each of the characters that use it, it seems like there's some pretty major side effects. I mean, when Callum used it, he basically put himself in a coma for a couple of days. And let's just say...
Well, Callum's a wuss.
when Viren uses it,
So,
True.
when Viren uses it, it looks kind of like he turns into Darth Sidious temporarily.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, you might not be able to talk about this because, again, you don't see the scripts ahead of time, so far ahead of time, but does it seem like there's a toll that gets paid over time, and it seems like maybe Viren should stop using magic pretty soon before it really goes south?
well, to answer the first part of the question, there's certainly a toll. I mean, there's a great physical toll that's taken on him, and we see in both season 1 and 2 that he has to replenish himself to sort of get back to level. But yeah, there is a great pain that is taken. However, that's all part of his sacrifice for what he wants to achieve. Is there a long-standing overall sort of thing? That's a good question. Stay tuned.
Callum, I'm hoping, we'll see, is maybe setting aside dark magic for the time. That might have been just like a one-time thing, I'm hoping. So hopefully no long-term side effects, but yeah, obviously there is this like great sacrifice that it takes, both of, to kill something and also to suffer yourself. There's like the Song of Ice and Fire idea of like only death can pay for life. I feel like that's a clear analog here, that like magic takes this great personal toll.
Well, it seems like the kind of thing I get is like, well, clearly there's like the whole Star Wars vibe with the dark side of the Force kind of thing, but it kind of seems also like sort of like a metaphor for performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, yeah, you'll get to where you want to faster, but
Sure.
you're not going to like what happens afterwards.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Callum scene, there is a real like, there's a like drug crash vibe to that whole thing, and then he's like going through withdrawals and goes into this coma and has to like learn about himself to step away from this thing. There is definitely a drug idea there. I shouldn't say that from like a writing perspective. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I definitely agree. I see that.
But just really quickly, Viren doesn't bring him to like to the precipice of death. He just gets really disgusting looking and drained, but he's still got life. It's not like he needs to eat that life force of all those butterflies or whatever he's doing. So it is draining him of something, but he's still got something there as well.
Well, maybe it hasn't taken him to the precipice of death yet.
We'll find out.
I would like to just say that I'm not on this show, but it's not
Should
just
be.
dark magic that takes a toll. I think all magic, up close magic, card tricks.
Yeah.
If you
Never
see
trust
some
a
of these
wizard.
magicians down the line, it takes a toll. So yeah, I think it's all magic.
And Callum will eventually grow a chin strap beard because of that one time he used dark magic.
He's gonna get real grody looking and just have a Vegas show where he makes elephants disappear.
That would be awesome, like Chris Angel, who can do
Yeah.
all the magic tricks except magic up sleeves.
Sleeveless t-shirts, yeah. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello.
This is for the whole panel. You can answer this question any way you want. What makes you wake up in the morning?
Oh.
Oh my.
Do you want like an honest, serious, honest answer? My kids.
You can answer it, and answer any way you want.
Just make sure my kids are happy and healthy. And then money.
Yeah, my wife and kids now, because Jason started. My wife and my little, I've got a year and a half old toddler, and he both literally physically gets me up in the morning. But I also, everything I do is for that guy now, so that.
Oh boy. I've never seen myself being able to do anything in a career outside of like perform and entertain and try and like inspire and teach with art and with work. And not to make this too long-winded, but I remember recently reading an article, because very recently was the 40th anniversary of the Muppet movie, which is my favorite film of all time. And the opening song from that, The Rainbow Connection, is deeply, like that makes me cry when I hear it, like almost immediately, because it hits me right deep down. And part of that is just about creating cool stuff with people you respect and people you admire. And that's something that, gets me going every morning, is when I have that opportunity to really create and inspire and inspire myself with the people around me and the work that I get to do. So that's something. I also have a family. I do not have a child. I have a lovely partner who's there in the front row. Hello. It's a level of formality that we have. But things got personal, so I had to take it back. Jack, how about you?
Yeah, I'll echo family and also echo the just from work perspective, what gets me going when I have an acting job and stuff. The team aspect of it, the getting to work with people, the team sports. I think acting is a very executorial art. You're not creating this thing whole cloth. You're there to help somebody else's vision take that next step forward. Especially in animation, there's just such a long assembly line of so many people involved in it that it feels really cool to just be okay, I'm here to do my small part and help this bigger thing come together. That feels really cool to be part of a team.
All of their kids. What get me out of the bed? No, my wife, who was my best friend, but making people laugh, the ability to make people laugh is something that gets me going every time. So I'll spend the rest of my life trying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hi, first off, welcome all of you. It's great to have you on our island.
Thank you.
Thank you for
It's
having
great
us.
to be here.
This question is for Jack. Regarding Sokka, he's a really interesting character just because he's able to grow out of being a comic relief character while still being a comic relief character. He never loses that humorous dimension of himself while also having all these other facets and growing up into a man, but still a man who can make jokes and see the lighter side, but also is a warrior and a soldier and all that cool stuff. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, being able to develop the character across the 3 seasons, how did you see Sokka's growth as a character?
Yeah, I love that they carved out time to make him, confront parts of himself, to that the feeling of like isolation from not being as powerful as all these other people, like his form of leadership, that they found time to let him get serious and retained the like joyful side comedy stuff was awesome. The season 3 arc with the like him finding a master and learning swordsmanship is like, it was so cool to get to dive into that stuff towards the end as we've been on this thing for a while to go like, oh yeah, no, let's actually like slow down. Like, how is he doing with the fact that all this amazing stuff is happening around him? And we play it for jokes a lot early, and then getting to go like, no, behind all that, you know, panic, there's a real sadness, and getting to explore that was really cool. So I was very appreciative that they kept trying stuff with that character all throughout.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're great.
You should see the sign.
I saw it was like 1%. This is only 1% of my.
Oh yeah, it's zoinks! This is only like 1% of my power scoop.
Hi, my name's Jade, and this is a question for you, Jason.
Yeah.
So, whoever's in charge of the Dragon Prince Tumblr page now, when asked who they thought had the best singing voice, they said it was Viren, because they heard you singing one time.
It's true, yeah.
And so, I'm recording this. And so, for my blog and my watchers, would you please be kind enough to sing anything?
Can I say no? I can't say no to that question.
Pretty please.
Is there any birthdays in here? Any birthdays? Whose birthday is?
Someone, is that a birthday?
Whose birthday is soon?
It's someone's birthday somewhere.
What's your name? Austin?
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Whoa!
That counts.
Austin, this is for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Austin. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. The fans will appreciate this.
It's my pleasure.
That's a yes from me.
That's a no from me, Doug.
My question is for Will.
Yes.
One of the things that you didn't mention is a couple years back you worked on the reboot of Thundercats, right?
Yes.
Great show.
Thank you.
They cut it soon. They cut it short way too soon.
Yeah, it kills me.
Yeah. My question is, what was it like working on a franchise that was being rebooted and sort of like you had the source material, but it was a kind of a different approach, and you're kind of taking it in its own direction. And basically, what was it like updating a show that basically that had more of a space opera feel originally, and made it more of a kind of hard to describe actually.
Yeah, it was. Well, first of all, that show kills me. It was because I was not only getting a chance to play Lion-O, which was one of my favorite characters of all time, but I was also writing the series. So, as one of the writers of the show, we were really arcing out what we wanted to do, and we wanted to make it more Arthurian legend kind of than anything else. So there are a lot of fantasy aspects to it we wanted to keep, but the hero's journey was still something we wanted to play with, and we loved the original Thundercats. I mean, the original Thundercats was incredible, but when you go back and watch it, you kind of go, huh? For some of it, so we wanted to make sure that we added kind of an overall story arc to everything we were doing. It was tough shoes to fill. So Larry Kenny, I became my buddy. I would be asking him questions all the time, and they brought him back to play Lion-O's dad this time, so getting a chance to work with him was pretty amazing. And then just the standard thing that tends to happen sometimes is the toys didn't sell. So when the toys don't sell, the show don't go. And we were already picked up for our second season. We'd already written the first 3 episodes. You're gonna learn some really cool things like Mum-Ra's backstory and all that kind of stuff. And they pulled the plug. So that's the moral of the story is if you really like a show, go and buy the toys. It's important, but yeah, we had a great time and just kind of taking something that was so iconic in the 80s, and I mean, we knew right away, no matter what we did, half of the people were going to hate it. So we just tried to make the best show that we could. It's just forget about what everybody's going to say, forget about the haters that are going to be out there, make the best show you can, and they'll come around. And they did. We had the greatest fans ever. But yeah, it was cut short way too soon.
Yeah, I was in the half that liked the show.
Yes, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
And also, and because of that, one last thing. Can you please call forth the Sword of Omens, please?
Do you want the Thundercats ho is what you're looking for? Okay.
Yes. Thunder. 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 Thundercats. Ho!
Very Kenny Stowers again.
Yo.
Hello.
Hey.
Not my question, but just want to say I missed the Thundercats cartoon too. It was like you had so much epic stuff in the last 2 episodes.
I think so too. And it's one of the few cartoons ever where literally the bad guy wins. Because we had the last episode, Mum-Ra won, because we were already picked up, and then they canceled the show. It's like, great, good message, bad guy wins. Everybody go home.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty horrifying to watch that, so.
My question is for Jack and Will, or the whole panel. Was there ever anything, a scene that was so funny you couldn't get through it? Like on Avatar, right? Cactus Juices. That scene is one of my favorite from the series. And Boy Meets World, there was this one scene, Eric was hiding everywhere, one episode.
Yeah.
And the credits were Eric in the sofa.
Yeah, they put me in a couch, and we couldn't get through the episode. Yeah, we literally couldn't get through the scene. We never actually finished it. That's why they had to edit together all the outtakes at the end.
The other scenes that were just so funny you couldn't get through it. Even just thinking of the scene makes me laugh.
Do you have any you can think of?
The Cactus Juice thing was very fun. It was just an episode where it was written crazy. It's a very insane drug trip type of thing, and then they really let me go wild with it. So that was very, very fun in the booth, where it was just got through it, but definitely took way longer than was necessary because we just kept trying stuff and trying to make each other laugh. So yeah, really fun.
Yeah, we did one episode of Boy Meets World that we called the Scream episode. It was the Halloween episode.
Oh, right.
There was no audience, and so it was a week of just us being horribly unprofessional and making each other laugh every chance we could get. And it got to the point where you can actually see it on the show. There's usually somebody in the background giggling or trying not to giggle. So it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. This question is for Will. So, when you were playing Terry, you're not only having to go, oh yay, I'm the new young Batman, but I'm also opposite the guy who 99% of the audience thinks of when they hear the word Batman. So, how intimidating was that as a acting? It was hugely intimidating, but Kevin couldn't have been nicer. And I think 99% of the people think Kevin's Batman, and the other 1% just haven't heard Kevin enough. Because Kevin's Batman. Yes. So he was the greatest mentor. He was my mentor for my voiceover career. I mean, he really took me under his wing. Batman Beyond was the first show I'd ever done. I'd never done voiceover before, and I'm sitting in between Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. It was really intimidating. But he took me under his wing and showed me the ropes, and has become a very close friend of mine. So I don't know what I would have done without him, because everybody always asks me who's your Batman? There's one Batman, and it's Kevin Conroy, and always will be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You did fantastically.
Thanks.
You answered that very well.
Hi, I've got a question for Will this time. So for pretty much the entire run of Transformers Prime, Bumblebee only communicated with sound effect noises like he did in the live action Transformers movies. And then in the last episode, his voice box gets repaired, and that's when you provide his voice. So what was it like trying to voice a character who for the entire story thus far has been entirely silent? How do you kind of figure out how to make them sound like?
Well, the funny thing about that was that when I was reading for the role, they kept bringing me in because I knew the whole crew and I knew the whole cast. They kept bringing me in, but they wouldn't tell me what I was reading for. So they finally said, you're reading for a character called Blue Streak. They just made something up. And I went in and I read, and then they finally called me and said, okay, so you're going to come in and record. I went, all right, can we talk a little more about Blue Streak? And they went, well, we don't have to, it's Bumblebee. And I went, what? So it was certainly, and it was Frank Welker for years doing the beeps and bops, who's one of the greatest ever behind a microphone. So it was kind of like, oh, this is going to be interesting. The one thing I had going for me was that he hadn't spoken, so I wasn't jumping into anybody's shoes. I tend to skirt that responsibility a lot. Like again, it's like, I'm Batman, but not Bruce Wayne, so I didn't have to worry about being that guy. I'm Bumblebee, but not coming off of anybody, just coming off of beeps and bombs. So I do get to kind of skirt the responsibility a little bit, which is nice. And then they just wanted youthful leader, which we already knew that we were going to finish Prime. Again, I think one of the best cartoons of its generation, and of course they waited till the last episode to let me speak.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best cartoons ever. It was one of the shows that inspired me to like actually like study, prepare to like try and study for a career in animation.
Yeah, it's not only looked amazing, but it was, in my opinion, arguably one of the best ensemble voiceover casts ever put together. Those men and women were just unbelievable at what they did.
Everyone, like even years later, just the voice cast just sticks with me.
They're amazing. So to come in and say, well, I get one episode, was pretty cool. But we already knew we were rolling right into Robots in Disguise. So we did Prime, and then we did the movie afterwards. It was kind of getting Bumblebee a shot, and then we rolled into Robots in Disguise. So that was an amazing part of my life to be Bumblebee, and yeah, so it was great. And you know, my nephew for years would just run around telling his friends that his father was or his uncle was a Transformer. So, you know, doing that is pretty great, and that's kind of why we do it, I think. And so yeah, it was a ton of fun. And unfortunately, the only thing that was bad about it was I didn't get to record with everybody. They were keeping it a secret who they had cast, so I recorded by myself. And so I was hoping, I mean, I know everybody, like we all know everybody, it's a very small kind of community, but to be in the room with them would have been amazing. I never got the chance to do that, so that's unfortunate, but it was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, so this is for the whole panel. You all have been lucky enough to be in some really iconic projects, but past, present, or future, what project do you wish you had been in the industry to be on? What project do you wish you'd get hired for? Or what project would you like to see happen that you could then get to be a part of?
Great question.
Oh boy.
I'll jump in because I know right away. Star Wars made me dream as a kid. We had the original trilogy on VHS, and I watched them religiously. And I even chose my first agent. I was with an agency called Lucas Talent, which has nothing to do with Lucasfilm whatsoever, but I went there specifically to get them to be my agent because of the name Lucas. And it's always been a dream and a sort of a drive of my acting career, voice acting on screen or voice or hell on stage, whatever, to be in a Star Wars project. I did provide one voice matched line for Ezra in a Lego Star Wars, but I don't think it was like one word or something. It had a voice match, and I was like, this counts. It didn't really. Yeah, I was excited about it, but like I would just love to have I mean, everyone says, oh, I'd love to be like a gonk droid in the background, but I would truly love to be a character of some sort of, have some sort of an arc and get to play in that universe. It would make, I'd retire after that. Like, that's just my dream. Thanks.
So what you're saying is we got to get you a role on Star Wars.
Yeah, and which I'll just look into the camp now.
I'll go next, because very similarly, like, Star Wars is one of my favorite series of all time. I've said, like, I have tiered sets of voiceover goals, and in this current stage, my tier is that I want to do a named character in the Marvel universe and a named character in the Star Wars universe. And I've been fortunate enough, we do not motion comic, but like superhero adventure shorts for Spider-Man in Vancouver, and I got to be the voice of Reptile, who, yes, exactly. But he was fun. Beyond that, I have kind of a weird connection with the Ninja Turtles in my life. My dad was the main stunt actor for Michelangelo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, and he also was the stunt performer for Venus in the Saban Ninja Turtles. This is a little Filipino guy like me, so. But
was that Turtles in Time?
No.
Was that when they go back to feudal Japan?
Yeah, that was,
Okay.
okay, yeah. But I would love to be in the Ninja Turtles universe as well. And my entire life, I was never allowed to watch He-Man as a kid, but I would love to be in like the He-Man universe. I just think that'd be so cool to be like one of those ridiculous action figures.
Something that's due for a reboot, maybe?
Oh boy, I hope so. I'm here. Hello. Go to my website.
Back in 1984, when I was 9 years old, I heard Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime.
Yep.
And that changed my life forever. And I don't want to sound overdramatic. It is the absolute truth. I wanted to be Optimus Prime. I wanted him to be my dad. I wanted him to be my best friend. I loved everything about Prime. And it has just been my dream and my goal, I guess, to one day voice that character. I've had the opportunity I auditioned for something a couple years ago that for Prime, and I counted that a victory. Just even the audition to get it would have been blown my mind. But it's just the next step closer, right? So that is still a big dream. A hero, really. I mean, right? I mean, he is so positive. He's like the epitome of what a leader should be. And I really learned a lot from him as a kid. So I just wanted to be him. And now that I'm an adult and I know that I can't be him, I know as an actor that I can be him. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity should it come.
Batman the Animated Series is my favorite thing of all time.
Agreed.
And know that I was never going to sound like that version of Batman, so Robin was always the thing for me. I got to play Robin one time in a Justice League DVD. That's sort of...
Which one?
Trapped in Time?
Are you asking? It was like you're asking.
I remember that there was time travel.
Is it the Flash Paradox?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. This is my world. So I love the Justice League movies. That kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering which one you were in.
I think it's called Trapped in Time.
Were you Robin? Were you Red Robin?
I was Robin. I was straight up Robin.
Okay.
D.
Tim
Vader was Batman.
D was Batman.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, you were Tim? Or were you Dick?
I think I was Dick.
You were Dick, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Nightwing would be my answer.
Nice. First of all, to what you were saying, I had Peter Cullen look at me and say, Bumblebee. And I froze.
Oh, man.
I literally sat there looking at him, and it took 30 seconds before I realized, like, oh, I have to answer. He walks in, he's impeccably dressed, he's got this pencil mustache, and he opens his mouth, and he's just Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
And none of us in the room could move. It was unfreaking real. But to answer your question, G.I. Joe, the original G.I. Joe, I want to be in. And one time in my life, want to play Cobra Commander. I never get to play a bad guy, so that would be the ultimate for me, the Cobra Commander, yeah. Very cool.
Great question.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome question.
This question is actually for Jack.
Yes.
So
I was just IMDb.
He was literally he's Googling himself to find out what I don't remember what it was
He
called.
was super excited about it. He can't remember what it's called.
It was a dream to play Robin, and I didn't ask any other questions. Like, what's it called?
IMDb himself.
So anyway, by the way, I love all your guys' work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as far as Jack, I know that you did all that for quite a bit.
Yes.
Really love those seasons, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Is there any sketches or characters that you've done in all that inspires or maybe even sparks like inspiration for any like future voice roles or any?
Oh, that's fun.
Sorry, it's kind of hard to explain this.
No.
Is there any characters or sketches from that time and all of that you would like to maybe do like something with, like in any voice role in the future?
Randy Quench, volunteer fireman, is like one that was sort of like me at 14 trying to work out how to sound like a superhero type thing. Like he's a bumbling idiot of a volunteer fire, like, you know, chops into a house and then puts out a non-fire by blowing a hose on it. It was great, you know, it was great kids material. That voice definitely was me working out what would kind of become superhero-y sounding things. So that one, yeah, I think that. And then I tried to work on, they had me do a lot of impressions and stuff in that show, so just trying to learn that and flex that muscle and work on hearing other people's voices. I never got that good at it, but it was really helpful.
I'm Googling you.
Thank you. Trapped in Time, right? I think it's Trapped in Time.
Is it Trapped in Time?
I think it's called Trapped in Time.
Is it D?
It is, right? Somebody, yeah.
Space
There's a
S?
space, yeah. Get the space up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yo.
Hello.
This is a question just for all you guys.
I'll field this one, fellas. Yes, Viren is the hero.
With all the shows that you guys have, with Dragon Prince being the youngest, and then you have, you know, with the three tiers, for example, you have Batman Beyond, Avatar, and now Dragon Prince, with that one being the youngest out of the three, but you can see it growing, like it's getting bigger and bigger. Out of those shows that you guys did, like, what was the moment you realized, like, oh wow, Avatar's getting big, oh wow, Batman Beyond's getting big, oh wow, Dragon Prince is like getting, like, it hits you like, oh, this is really starting to grow. Like, what moment where it kind of was like, oh, this is a thing now?
I can answer for Avatar real quick. I was maybe 16, 17 when we did the pilot. So then I was in college when it was like starting to air, and when I was like recording the seasons like back and forth from, I was at UCLA, so it was like very easy. I could just like be at school and maybe like middle of season 2 airing at like college parties. I had 2 different occasions of a peer of mine pull me aside and go like, hey, like, I know it's like some stupid kid shit, like, don't tell anybody that I said this, but like, I'm watching your show and it's like really, really good. So that was like, oh, something's happening here. And then seeing that it was like hitting with my peers as well as younger people, was when I knew that was becoming a thing.
Jason, I believe you were fielding this.
No, go ahead.
No, just go ahead.
I know it's kind of tough, but I was just wondering, like, because there, you know, a lot of shows where they start to get like that fan base, like there's always that moment where like
I got this one.
Oh, okay.
Because the Dragon Prince is conceived of, created by the people it is, we had an immediate fan base with a lot of the Avatar fans. And on social media, at least, you could see just this influx of people following our Twitter accounts, Instagram.
Yeah.
It just blew up. And all of a sudden the official page had thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I couldn't believe it. Well, for one thing, Viren had not been revealed right away. And I saw a lot of the other cast members, their followers were just exploding. And I thought, something is going on here. This is pretty incredible. And I think that was very early on, like before the show had even aired.
I was one of those people.
You were one of those people? Well, thank you very much for that.
Thank
you.
Okay.
The fans of Dragon Prince are the best part of the show.
Absolutely.
That's who I think I speak for everybody. That's who we make it for. Yeah. Because it's just such a loyal, creative, passionate group of people who just love our show, and it's our show. So we saw that instantly. And I mean, it grew and grew as we got through first season, and then second seasons started, and even more. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much further we can go and how many more people we can bring on to Team Dragon Prince.
Yeah, and I'd second that, what Jason's saying about that sort of, especially the social media response. So my sort of animation career really started with Iron Man Armored Adventures, which has a super special place in my heart, and is actually a lot more popular now than it was at the time, because it preceded the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It preceded the Iron Man film by a couple of months. And so the idea of having any sort of other take, you know, this is pre-Spider-Verse and all that stuff, any other take of a character that's maybe not totally safe, people were really up in arms about. And so, you know, that show happened, which I really loved it, but there really wasn't much of a fan base at the time, or at least not one that I had a chance to have any dialogue with. And then, you know, on Dragon Prince, I play a very
small character, Commander Gren, and my Twitter just started blowing up with pictures of strawberries with his face superimposed over it, and all these things he sent to me, and it blew my mind, you know. But I remember my first day on Dragon Prince. I think it was like the 3rd episode that Gren comes in, and just sitting back and seeing these guys at work and the performances they were given. I just thought, this better be huge, because these guys are amazing. It was so phenomenal. I'm so honored to be a part of it and to have gotten to see them work. So, yeah.
I had a very specific moment where I realized Dragon Prince would be big, because I loved Avatar. I didn't get into it until I was maybe in my mid-late 20s. I was a real late adopter, but I got an email from Justin and Aaron after I got cast saying, you know, we did a big table read, but this was before the table read, and it said, you know, Jesse, thank you so much for being a part of the show. You know, you bring so much to Soren. Sincerely, Aaron Ehas, Justin Richmond. And I was like, I wonder who these gentlemen are. So I Googled them, and I was like, oh, he was the head writer on Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this guy made Uncharted.
Yeah.
Oh no. I need to hide. Why Jesse?
Or get better.
Or get better, yeah. Which I did,
yes.
After hiding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the moment for me where in my head the gears started turning and I thought, oh, this is gonna be massive. And seeing, to echo what Adrian and Jason are saying, to see the swell of the incredible fan base and the fan artists and the community that's developed around the show, it's beautiful. And I mean, those of you who are on Twitter and interact with the Dragon Prince know that I do as well a lot. And I do that because you guys are cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Oh, did you have an answer?
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah. No, we had no social media when Batman Beyond started. So actually the thing that I remember most is the show came out, we were wondering if people were gonna like it, and then the next day it was on the cover of Variety. So that's when we knew, and the whole cover was just Batman Beyond. So that's when we knew, it was like, oh, we might have something here. So yeah.
If it makes you feel better, I bought the toys.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm really short.
Me too.
Hi. So I have 2 questions. I got one for the Dragon Prince crew. I was talking to the girls in the autographs, and I found out you guys got your scripts the night beforehand.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. So how was that recording the next day when you got your guys' scripts? Like how was the interaction with like everybody when you guys got the script before?
You know what the beautiful thing about doing a show, like doing an animated series, is for the majority of the time, going against everything you just said about recording Bumblebee, you're in the same room with everybody. And so there's this eye contact we can make, and it's the acting and the reacting, as opposed to just doing your own thing in front of the microphone, which is doable. We're all pros and we do that as well. But getting the script immediately before you do it, and listen, The Dragon Prince is written so beautifully. There's so much power in some of that dialogue, and it's heartbreaking, some of it. Some of the storylines they just kill us. That's an over, you know, they don't really kill us, but it's stuff that as an actor you just want to do. Yeah. But you don't get all that time to soak it in and really over plan and over practice. So to be able to go into, excuse me, I am not finished, sir.
I have something to say about you, Jason.
So to go in and I was about to say something nice about you. So to go in and be able to stand beside this guy who plays my son, and we have this amazing moments, it's literally looking in his eyes, seeing his face, because he's a fantastic actor. This guy, we had a couple little scenes, but it's still this moment of being face to face. Same with you. We had a really tight, tense moment in one of those episodes. And to be able to have him right beside, it's electrifying. So, I don't know if I answered the question properly, but to not have that script for a long time, You sit and you wait and you listen and you listen to yourself and you read it and you you overdo it. But to get it the day before and then you jump into the studio, it's incredible.
May I say something nice about you, Jason?
I am finished, you may.
Thank you. So, speaking specifically to what Jason's saying, there's that scene in season 1 where Soren and Viren are on the ramparts of the castle, and Viren is giving Soren a mission. It's a pretty cool mission. Doesn't go great, but here we are. I remember the first take we did of that scene, because I record next to Jason and Raquel on either side, and I just feel a hand on my shoulder as Jason's telling me that I need to go kill the princes. And I just felt like, and I felt just the weight of his hand on my shoulder. I was like, oh, this is real. I have to kill princes. Who and where? And it was so visceral and so real, and it really speaks to the quality of the writing, but also just the quality of this man and his work. See? So you guys, thank you.
Give that to him for me, please.
What's that?
Give this to him.
Oh God, I have to kill a prince.
There was a little double squeeze in there.
There
that
was,
I
and it
couldn't
was
see,
nice.
but I felt it and I passed it on.
It's very kind.
I mean, if I just jump in there too and just say,
I was done speaking, so it's fine.
Perfect. Process-wise, as an actor, sometimes it's a bit of a gift because it means that you really do have to be present, and you have to listen. And that's something as a voice actor sometimes you forget to do because you've got you've got the script in front of you. So it's easy to be lazy and go, oh yeah, well I've read this a million times and I can follow along. But coming into a project with such Pikachu, I agree. It's gonna be okay. I'll be quick. Coming into a project that you know is going to be special and the writing's so fantastic, and you don't want to you don't want to drag it down or anything like that, and you care about your character. You come in and you're present and you're listening to the other actors, and like Jesse's saying, you're receiving what they're giving you, and I know for Gren, I think of the things that resonated with people were things that were never planned about the vocal performance. They were spontaneous, So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice. You don't have the time to get like too locked into an idea, too set in something. You have to be very present and discover it. It's freeing and nice. Yeah.
It's super easy to look at a script and go, oh, I'm going to do this here. This is going to be so cool. I'm going to do this with this line. But when you're in the moment, that stuff kind of disappears because it was probably dumb anyway. And so the honesty, hopefully the truth, is what comes out.
Thank you. So,
Anything?
I actually have a question for.
Yes.
So I follow Christy on her new YouTube channel, and I saw you on it. How is it that you guys are so great for that? It's amazing that you guys are still good friends, and I love seeing that reaction. But how was that reunion when you guys were on the show together on her YouTube channel?
It was great. We Christy and I have started working together in 2000. Her channel is a ton of fun, and went to her house and made a knockout. So we had a blast. But no, Christy and I and my wife and Christy and her husband and I were all very good friends. So we do a lot of these conventions together, so they're very easy to travel with and have a lot of fun with. So it was a reunion on camera of sorts, but we've been together for years now at this point. So yeah, she's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a question for Will, and it's very random. My mother and I are both wondering if you can still do the naked mole rap.
I remember the first part. It's long. It's like a 4-minute song. I remember it starts with
Yo, listen, I'm Papa Howard from Ron. Naked Mole Rap is the name of the song. Here's the story in all its glory, ain't hiding nothing. You'll know what the truth is, how Ron met Rufus.
Thank you. And it's not that random. That was a good question.
Hello.
Hello.
Mr. DeSantos? Is it Josh or Jack? I'm sorry.
Oh, Jack, DeSantos.
So how did you get your start? And Where did you find your motivation? Where do you find your motivation from? And did you ever like have to deal with hating your voice? Or how did you deal with it?
Oh yeah. I definitely like, I got my start, so I did all that on Nickelodeon, which was a sketch show. I was doing that at the time, and then just sort of transitioned into voiceover stuff just through auditioning, and was able to do, so I was doing another Nickelodeon show at the time. Definitely sometimes hate my voice. I've always been someone who has a hard time watching myself perform or listening to my voice, and like in particular, when doing Sokka, I just sort of I really embraced, not always having control over my voice. Like that's a character that really, there's a lot of cracks and squeaks and like kind of all over the place dynamics. And I was just like, I'm gonna throw them out there and let it be loose and wild. And so then there are times where I listen back and go like, just calm down. But yeah, so that was how I started. Just sort of started doing it. Thank you.
She's back.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Okay, so this one, again, for Jason.
Oh.
And this is something I've been curious about for a while. You're really adamant about, I probably don't want to say it like that. But
Okay.
You refuse to see Byron as a villain. And I want to know if that's you as an actor wanting to empathize with him, or if there really is something about his character that you already empathize with. Let's get deep.
No, I don't see him as a cardboard cutout villain. He's not just there's a show with heroes and he's the bad guy. I don't see him as that. I see him as a very complex character. Not that I want to see him as that. I have to. I have to go into that as the actor approaching that character. Otherwise, he does become just a voice. He has to have layers. Yes, I've got to find the humanity in him. And that is where he gets most of his horrible decisions from. Just being a flawed human being. He makes a lot of bad decisions. He does it for a very particular reason. He thinks he's doing what's right. And I can't blame him for that. He just makes decisions that we being some people who don't think morally ambiguously. So do I think he's the bad guy? Yeah. Yeah, I think it might be ignorant to say that he isn't, but he's got a lot of good stuff going for him. But I just didn't ever want to say that, yes, he's the bad guy and that's it. He loves his kids, but then he makes some choices that involve sacrificing them. Doesn't mean he doesn't love them less, but that's a really horrible decision that I would never make as a father. So I've got to find a way to come to terms with what he's doing. And sometimes I can't. There's stuff that we've done in those seasons where I go, I don't know what you're doing here, pal. I can't excuse this, but I can't judge him either. I've got to play the part. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, back again. This one is for the entire Dragon Prince group. So with animated shows, the work always starts like well before any actual episodes are released to the public. So I was kind of wondering, how far in advance of the show actually coming out did you guys start working on the Dragon Prince?
That's a good question. Are we allowed to say that? It was 1997.
20 years ago, we all met in a cafe in Amsterdam.
I was actually cloned and have grown to play Commander Gren.
The lion's share of the time was animation, of course. And who knows how long it took them to write. We could ask them, I don't know, but...
I could text them.
Yeah, we could get their answer, yeah. But it's I don't know, a year?
I think a year.
About a year?
Yeah, it's surprisingly quick with the CG stuff. They're able to turn it impressively fast.
Yeah, Bardell, the people who did the animation, that group of people are phenomenal. They're unbelievably good at their jobs. The show's beautiful. It just takes time to make that work. So probably about a year when we first met, did our table read, maybe a little longer,
I would say a year and a half.
Well, no, it was because we met in June and then it came out the next September.
Was it? Oh, Yeah,
Ish.
So. Yeah, ish.
Does that answer?
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Did you have an assumption of how long those take? I'm curious.
No, I already knew from like hearing from like interviews and stuff for other shows that the animation at least started like several years in advance. But I kind of didn't really have much of an idea about how far in advance the voice acting started.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that was our last question, and
Oh.
you've got about 4 minutes left. So
Uh-oh.
do you have any closing remarks or anything you wanted to say?
Watch The Dragon Prince on Netflix, seasons 1 and 2 on streaming.
Yeah, buy toys. I just found out apparently that's a thing.
That's
So
a thing.
buy toys.
Fleshy paints.
I'm just really, really grateful for everyone who watches our show and enjoys it, but also is just very vocal about it online.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me. I think it means a lot to all of us.
Yeah.
There's some validation there, of course, but it also shows that we've got something that people really enjoy and they connect with, and we just want to keep that going. That means a lot to me, us. I would love, I'd love a job that just keeps going on and on and on forever. That just doesn't happen. But this is really something special, and we just want to keep it going. So thank you for watching.
Yeah, everything Jason said, thank you very much to everybody who's taken the time to watch, to all the people too who've taken the time to reach out to any of us on social media and just say like, this show meant something to me for this reason, or whatever reason, or I really resonated with this character, or this scene made me think of this, because that's all real, and that's all really beautiful to hear, you know? That's stuff that makes it all worthwhile.
I also want to give a shout out to Claudia right there.
Incredible.
That looks
Incredible.
fantastic.
Fantastic.
That's amazing. Am I allowed to ask for a photo to be taken of us up here, and then I can take one of me and everybody? Am I allowed to do that? Can I throw my phone to somebody?
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Thanks for coming. We're around like all weekend.
Yeah.
Also, I'm thinking morning. I don't hate my voice. It's fine. I always wanted to sound like Jason, and it never happened for me. And so I embraced it, and I do stuff that it's okay that it sounds like this.
Comfortable in yourself.
Yeah, thank
Comfortable
you.
in yourself.
Thank you.
Jeff,
I mean, I'm
your
not
voice is
saying I
great.
can't sound like you, but it's
you
a good voice. When you're hearing you say, I had trouble with my voice, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, just sitting in the booth with him while he's working, I'm just like, oh, I want to do that. Sorry, oh, I want to do that.
Everybody look important.
Yes! Quiet, please, we're smiling.
Don't worry, I got a picture of you going like this to the audience too.
Oh, very political. Hold on! Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.